So now here I am. But for any questions you have, we can discuss after that in the cocktail reception. And this actually is quite a long presentation, so I will try to do it actually in 10 minutes. So I'll be talking very quickly and also skipping some slides. And the clock is ticking there already. Now, actually, I would like to start with the Greater Bay Area. When I go out, actually, very often I talk about Hong Kong, of course. However, these days, actually, I talk more about the Greater Bay Area because Hong Kong by itself, it is a small city. And we think with the Greater Bay Area, 11 cities altogether, we could have a much bigger offering. Now, there are three numbers here on the slide. What I put it is, China, we have three very big things. One is population, one is land area, one is GDP. So for population, 68 million. Land area, 56,000 kilometers squared, and GDP, $1.3 trillion US dollars. So the GDP is about 10% of the total of China's GDP. So it actually is quite substantial. Now, Battle of the Bays. We have a lot of different Bay areas. Of course, San Francisco Bay Area, New York, and also Tokyo here in Asia. So there are some statistics comparisons over here. One item which I would like to point to is GDP per capita. And I think you can see the highest one is San Francisco Bay Area, which means that whereas Hong Kong, the Southern China Greater Bay Area, is only at 20,000 US dollars. You can see that the upside growth potential is very high. But I have to say that right now, actually, the history of the Southern China Greater Bay Area, comparing to the other three, actually is the shortest. And as you know, is quite a loose arrangement. But actually, since from last year, actually, this has become a national level cooperation agreement signed, being witnessed by the top Beijing officials. So for this, actually, the Southern China one, although the average is 20,000 US dollars, but actually the lowest one is actually only 7,000 US dollars. So this gives you an idea of the highest one and the lowest one. Highest one being Macau, which has something about 69,000 US dollars. So actually that one is higher than Hong Kong. Hong Kong is about 40,000. It gives you the sense of that within these 11 cities, you can do a lot of different adjustments. Financial services, Hong Kong, high tech, actually you can make use of Shenzhen. Whereas, for example, if you're in manufacturing, you can consider to make use of Zhaoqing, actually is the 7,000 GDP per capita city. And of course, what we would like to do is that with all these different kind of service offering, then you can make use of Greater Bay Area to make a bigger footprint on other things. For example, Belt and Roads. Another thing I would like to point out is the stock market. Now, of course, New York is very big. 30 trillion US dollars capitalization. However, Hong Kong, although it says 7.6, but actually Hong Kong, we have the Hong Kong Shanghai Connect and also Hong Kong Shenzhen Connect. So it means that at one place you can get access to the three stock markets of the whole of China. And of course, we've got the Bond Connect ongoing already. So besides the investing on the bond stock market, you can also make use of the bond market. And of course, infrastructure is very important. So we are finishing up our Hong Kong Zhuhai Macau Bridge. With that, actually, then you will get road access to Zhuhai and Macau. And of course, we also have the high-speed rail link. As you know, the high-speed rail link in China is extensive. For those who were in Shanghai last week for the Capital Link, actually, you might have tried the high-speed rail link inside of mainland China already. For that, actually, the total length of the high-speed rail inside of mainland China is 22,000, whereas, for example, number 2 largest network of high-speed rail link actually is Spain, but that length is only 3,000. So you can see the the network of high-speed railing is very extensive in the mainland China. So it means a very efficient transportation when we got linked to the network. That's one thing. And the other thing actually also it relates to the Belt and Road is that this kind of technology and experience in building this kind of high-speed rail link network is very useful in the Belt and Road infrastructure development. And I mentioned about the Hong Kong-Macau Bridge. And over here you can see the bottom one is the one which is getting across right at the river mouth. Now, the smaller one over here at the top actually is the existing bridge, which is very jammed already. And over time, actually, after the completion of these two, we also have another two planned. So after all these four bridges are built, then you can see the accessibility of Eastern and Western Pearl River Delta will be highly extended. Actually, if you go onto the internet, Google a little bit to search for nighttime satellite pictures, actually, you can see that over there at the eastern side, including Hong Kong, is a very big plots of very bright lights. However, over here on the western side is relatively dimmer, actually much dimmer. It shows you the economic activities that is happening over there. So with these four bridges built, actually it will be able to bring the prosperity from the eastern side to the western side. And it also means that for any kind of manufacturing, transportation, maritime activities, the center of gravities will be moving from over here to over here too. And if you are in the container business or bulk, actually you can see Yantian Port is over here. So the battleground actually is more over there for Yantian Port, whereas for Hong Kong, we could capture both the eastern side and also western side. So here for the Pearl River, Greater Bay Area, we've got three major ports, and all these three major ports added together, it will be something about 69 million TEUs. Because it is quite interesting to look at the top 10 container ports because 7 of them are in China, and then the two Bay areas, one the Greater Bay Area over there in southern China, the Hong Kong one, and the Shanghai one. These two are actually very substantial. And I think, but of course, as I mentioned earlier, the Southern China Greater Bay Area is actually a much tighter arrangement because there's a cooperation being agreed upon. So it only happened last year. So actually, in the future, actually, the growth potential will be very high. Now, Belt and Road, of course, everybody's seen this map for 1,000 times already. And I think you would agree that any one city is only one small dot on this map. And the purpose of the Greater Bay Area is to make the dot bigger and much bigger. So I think for this, actually, there will be a lot of infrastructure projects that would be talking about project cargo, transportation of oil and materials, oil and gas, energy, and infrastructures. So Hong Kong, we've got a lot of experience in the infrastructure itself and also financing of it, and not to mention our own platform. So we have this infrastructure financing facilitation office established. And actually there is this index coming up, which is measuring the Belt and Road activities of the Shanghai, Shenzhen, Hong Kong stock markets. So with that index, you will know where these companies are actually investing in region-wise, and also which sector. For example, would it be in oil or gas, or for example, coal-fired power generation, or road, or ports, or airports. So actually, that would be a very useful measure for you in the future to look at where the center of gravity on Belt and Road it is on the Belt and Road initiative. And these are some of the projects which have involved Hong Kong companies. It could be investment in ports, it could be investments on rail, and actually besides those I mentioned, the market segments, the advisory architecture side is one strong strength of Hong Kong. And actually this was also specifically mentioned by the Beijing leaders earlier in the Hong Kong Belt and Road Summit. And next month, in June, actually, we've got this Belt and Road Summit in Hong Kong, and as the same as past few years, actually, it will be officiated by the top Beijing government officials. And this is something that I think very useful for people they are involved in the Belt and Road Initiative, because a lot of companies will be coming down from mainland China to Hong Kong. And there are actually business matching sessions you can make use of. And also unofficially, casually, you can also meet with a lot of those companies in the cocktail receptions and coffee breaks. So actually, I think it's a very good platform, because one difficulty of overseas companies on Belt and Road is that it's hard to tackle them. So I think this is probably one of the best platforms for you to get participated in there. We are Hong Kong government, so we try to facilitate entries into Hong Kong. Promotion, that's what I'm doing right now. But at the same time, if you've got questions, we are very happy to discuss that and try to solve the problem for you. And we have 30 offices around the world, one here in Singapore at Suntec City. So my colleague Melvin is got the information here, and Willie is also here. Mainland China, we also have 5 offices. Around the world, 30 offices. So wherever you are from, you can get in touch with our local colleagues over there, or in Hong Kong with me. Thank you.